Trusting your intuition is vital because it is the part of you that is guarding you and taking care of you. I have been, and I'm not going to tell you the examples, in too many dangerous circumstances that could have ended very badly, but I trusted my intuition and I got out of there. And I'm telling you, it is going to save your life, if not change it. So if you also are an empathic, introverted woman, if you are a good girl or have people-pleasing tendencies or have had them, putting your validation into other people's hands, putting the control and the power and the meaning of what is important into their reaction or response towards you, thinking that that is where your own power lies and your own value and worth lies. But I'm here to tell you that when you trust your intuition, you're validating your own opinions, your own thoughts, your own feelings and experiences, which is the first step to even having healthy relationships. What I was really asking all the time was, why am I striving? What is it towards? What is the point of life? Why do I not yet feel fulfilled? And it was all incredibly exhausting, despite all my efforts and energy going towards what I thought I should be doing and what others told me that I must do in order to feel happy. I never did. It was very much the when I get this or do this, then I will feel this, then I will be happy. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to tell the difference between anxiety and intuition so that you can follow the steps to become your dream woman, your woman of virtue, and your woman who is in her power without needing other people's validation or approval. We will become that confident woman who has inner peace because she trusts that intuition that is all about mental wealth. Hello, welcome to the first, last, only, and best day of your life. I'm going to tell you all about going from mental health into mental wealth, which is from lack into abundance. And this is an overdue conversation, especially on YouTube, because mental health is surviving. It is just keeping your head above water. It is going with the trends and the current of culture and society, the norms, what we consider normal, but in fact really is not, because it's not healthy. Mental health is not healthy. Mental wealth, on the other hand, is becoming your best self, recognizing where you need to take accountability to be able to grow from there, actually having the strength and the resilience and the faith to face those horrible, sometimes, things with courage so that you can become that person daily. This is a lifetime we're talking about. This is not 1 year I was there and the next I'll be there. Now, there are 3 reasons that I believe that we are disconnected from our intuition and lack self-trust nowadays. So this is the mental health area. The first reason why most of us struggle with anxiety and mental health issues is due to being stuck in survival mode. It actually isn't safe for us yet to grow because we have traumas and we have present difficulties that stop us from being able to expand. You can actually only expand to the degree that you feel safe. If your environment is not supportive of your nervous system capacity at the moment, then you won't be able to grow beyond it. If you don't have your needs met in terms of the bottom of the rung, if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have a roof over your head or food, then you absolutely have to focus on that. And there's no way that you'll be able to put energy and strive towards the beauty in life and that self-actualization. So everything that you do is meeting a need. And if you have yet to see this, then it is very, very important that you focus on this first and get out of survival mode. But that is a whole other video. The second reason why we lack that connection to our intuition and why we lack self-trust as empaths, as introverts, as people pleasers, as good girls is because we fear failure. For a couple of years now, I have not been more afraid of remaining where I was. So really consider, are you more afraid of being exactly where you are today a year from now? Or are you more afraid of actually failing, actually perhaps changing, actually perhaps falling, but at least it meaning that there was progress because you gained some experience? And you won't be going down that route, but it will ultimately give you confidence to try versus not to at all. And it is a courageous thing. And you are seeking virtue, even if you're stuck in that, I'm so afraid of failure, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Now, it is important to note that we all seek a life filled with guarantees, and risk is part of growth. Can you actually leave your comfort zone? Can you actually expand what feels safe to you by your own account, by your own decision? Hey, I'm gonna try this because I never have before. I might be terrible at it, but Who knows? I might learn something along the way. Do you have that point of view? Or if it isn't a guarantee, if it isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, if it isn't something that you can get by pressing a button, are you capable of seeing it through the long term in order to gain the riches and the wealth that are on the other end because you fall in love with the process? You must know that even intuition does not owe us any proof of its guidance. It does not owe us any guarantees. So in following your intuition, there is going to be mystery massively alongside that. And you need to be willing to fail in order to be trusting of your intuition and your body's wisdom in the first place. The third reason why I believe that we disconnect from our intuition is because of the outside noise. If we're so wrapped up in social media, in the news, in what everyone else is saying, how are we ever going to hear our voice loud enough? How are we ever going to hear what we need, what we want, what we know is best for us, and maybe even look up, if you believe in God, as to what He believes is good for you? Now, none of us want life to actually get easier. We want to get better at it. We want it to remain hard so that we have stories to tell to our grandchildren about, hey, this was difficult and I overcame it. You can too. This is what happened to me. This is what the odds were against me, and this is how I defeated them. It is so incredibly exciting to have a hard life that you are good at succeeding at, that you are good at embracing, even if it's failure and grief, because all of that comes with it. I realized the other day that in order to open up to love, in order to actually say yes to a relationship, you need to be in a position where you're willing to be hurt again. If you're not willing to be hurt again, you will not open. And that is the truth of it, and that is the vulnerability of it, and that is what so many of us don't do, is be honest before we begin. So be honest with yourself before you begin. Are you willing to be hurt in order to make this change, in order to trust your intuition? It'll be small until you try to make a larger decision, until you try to do something that is even riskier. And here's the thing, C.S. Lewis, the pain now is part of the happiness then. That's the deal. So if you are willing to acknowledge that life never ceases being full of grief and pain because you have so much happiness, that is when you're really in mental wealth. As for the definition of intuition, which I think is so important, and I am a nerd for etymology and words, intuition actually means the ability to understand something immediately without conscious reasoning. It is the body that knows. It comes from the Latin intuere, which means to consider, which is quite interesting because I like to take words apart. Intuition, in, to go within, tuition. So I looked up the meaning of tuition. It means teaching or instruction. It itself comes from the Latin tuere, not intuere, which means to watch or to guard, which only had me thinking of the beauty of how the subconscious mind rules 95% of how we do things and what we do, such as brushing our teeth, getting up early in the morning, changing, making breakfast. A lot of these things run on automatic, driving to work, you know. On the conscious mind side, it only runs 5% of our decisions in our day. We're only truly present with 5% of the things that we're doing in life. This is why it is vital, it is so important to be connected to your intuition, because your conscious mind is the one that will be translating that subconscious 95% intuitive and instinctive mind. And your conscious mind would be deciding, I need to leave right now if it's a dangerous situation, or I need to act on this and network with somebody and actually get the confidence to go and speak to them. Depending what situation you're in, you'll need to adapt. But if you have that intuition guiding your way, you'll never, ever be confused. Now, the definition to anxiety blew my mind. It is the desire to do something, typically accompanied by unease. Now, what is something that gives us unease? The thought that we are incapable of doing it. I don't think I can. So despite having the desire to do something, the want to do something, the knowledge that it is something that I would benefit from having, and it is a need, perhaps, I don't think I can. A bit like the train, but in the negative version, I don't think I can, I don't think I can. Now, what does this bring us to? We will not be able to go anywhere in life with anxiety. Not anywhere positive anyway, not anywhere that is worth telling our grandchildren about. So I made a short of anxiety versus intuition, and I'll put it right here for you. It is really cool, I think, because it illustrates very visually what the difference is between having intuition and following it in life versus having anxiety and following that in life. So to trust your intuition, you need to know the difference between anxiety and intuition. Here is a side-by-side comparison of what they both are. Anxiety can feel confusing, overwhelming, a little bit like a rush, like an impulse, like the thing that you're uncertain about, you have to do it now because survival mode and tomorrow may not come and right now it has to happen. It's a lot. Intuition, on the other hand, leads steadily. It's still there in the morning. It knows tomorrow will come, the sun will rise. While anxiety comes up with a physical panic, like a tightness in your chest or sweaty palms or your heart beating really, really fast, intuition feels like a deep breath. It is calm. It's like a fleeting thought sometimes. It's a whisper compared to the loudness of anxiety. Anxiety is often triggered by the external world and what is happening around us and our circumstances. We'll be triggered by what other people say or by something on social media. We tend to hear or feel anxiety coming from others, and their worry can eke out onto us, and that can be infectious almost. I used to say and still believe that energy is the only infection in the world. And if you know German New Medicine, you know what I'm talking about. On the other hand, intuition comes from this inner knowing, this connection to the Holy Spirit that everything is going to be okay. And just because our circumstances are getting rocky doesn't mean we are. So while anxiety leads to worried and obsessive and spiraling thoughts, intuition is very clear. It is fleeting. It is peaceful. Anxiety is the bully, it's the frightener, it's the scare tactic, it's the harsh inner critic in your mind. It judges and it condemns. Intuition, on the other hand, is the positive inner child. It is enjoyment and it is goodness. It embraces and it comforts. It is almost like the guiding hand of a loving parent. I know I've said that it's also the child because it has that dichotomy to it of a relationship, where it is embracing of you wholly and completely, no matter what your state of mind may be, it's okay. Finally, anxiety will stop you from doing what you feel like doing. It'll discourage you from doing something that is really good for you in the long run, whereas intuition will say, you can do it. I believe in you. It's okay. You've got this. It'll reassure you and encourage you to do hard yet good things. Intuition wants you to become your most virtuous person, your most virtuous self. On the other hand, anxiety leads you, if you follow it, to become that sinful person. So for example, if you have an exam coming up, you can either feel nervous, you can let anxiety take over, you can start wondering what's going to happen if, or just ruminate, obsess, worry, all of those negative patterns, or you can let intuition gently comfort you and say, you know this, you've studied, you've got this, and you're just excited. Nerves and excitement are actually very similar in the body. So you can feel that fluttering of your stomach, that slight knot in your throat, that sweaty palms. You can tell yourself that it is okay. So of course, this is one step forward from having that initial feeling of intuition, but you're trusting it already. You're telling it, yes, I'm gonna follow you because I could give in to anxiety right now, but in order to trust my intuition, I am deciding to tell myself that I am calm. And if I'm not calm, I am excited. I am not nervous for this exam because I will pass it. Those are the differences in the voices of anxiety versus intuition, and how it is that you can really decide to avoid anxiety and choose the intuitive leadership and the intuitive initiative to actually follow down that road and stray away from mental health and go towards mental wealth decisively, actively, daily. Number one, it is self-alignment. When you do the things that really lead you into your core values as a person, and you don't mind what other people think because you yourself are set apart from the world and you are leading your own way. That's what intuition does every moment of every day. It leads you to your core self if you trust it. So the process of alignment, I am a nerd about. I love making formulas of these things, and I'll probably share them with you at some point. The process of alignment is your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your words leading to the result that you had in mind when you started? Does your imagination lead to a creation? Do you actually have something in your hands or evidence that is now out in the world, material, versus previously the energetic idea of something? When you can notice what your thoughts are, follow your feelings into that, like you're excited about something and you're thinking about what that is, and then you act on that excitement, and you maybe collage or paint, or as a woman, we can often do this, you create something with your hands, and then the result is what you had in mind, or better, you have created something in alignment. Now, it's the same with people pleasing versus actually choosing yourself. When you're thinking, I don't really want to be here right now, when you're feeling very uncomfortable, and then when you use your words to actually speak it out loud, despite how scared you may be, even if your voice is shaking, to actually be able to say to the person, I feel very uncomfortable right now, I don't appreciate talking about this, that may have stopped the entire conversation, and you get the result of being in control of your circumstances to some extent, because you can influence the world around you. And toxic shame is, again, another whole video, but it'll leave you believing that you don't have agency and you can't change things when you can. Self-alignment is so essential for leading a life that is so fulfilling to you. You only get one. You better choose right. The second part of having mental wealth is empowerment and confidence. You exude the capacity to do something. You know you can. When you tune into your intuition, you can make confident decisions. And if you don't love your decisions, you will not love your life. So when you can make good decisions, you actually save a whole bunch of time. And this, I don't think we talk about enough. If you're in the right circles, you'll go into the right place that'll lead you to the right person, for work or for relationship. If you're in the wrong circles, you'll probably experience a whole bunch of trauma that later will have to be addressed down the line, and it takes so much more energy to get back on the right track. So keep yourself on the right track by remaining in touch with your intuition. Over time, this bolsters your sense of self-trust and confidence. Without overthinking or seeking external validation, you're validating yourself and your own body's nudges. The third part of mental wealth is having emotional and mental peace. As I mentioned in the example of alignment, intuition and trusting it keeps you from harm, keeps you from danger, keeps you from circles and people where you do not want to be. It keeps you from harm. You experience so much inner peace when you move away from conflict that is unnecessary and negativity, which helps you avoid that cycle of toxic shame. And the fourth and last part of mental wealth is enhanced resilience. As I was saying, life will always keep throwing the punches. Are you able to stand up another time? Yes, because your intuition equips you with that greater resilience. When you trust your inner voice, I can't explain this to someone who hasn't quite got there yet, because it is mind-blowing to experience the clarity day to day, to experience the lack of anxiety, to experience the faith and the knowing that I am held and the trust that I now have, to be able to face anything that comes at me with grace rather than anxiety, to build this life of joy and confidence and calm. It happens naturally. It's not something I need to put effort into. Yes, to some extent, but not out of anxiety all the time and pulling myself out of anxiety. It's just, I'm here now, and I know I'm not going to go quite as far down as I once did, because I used to be so terribly confused, and I'm not now. And I want this for you. So now I will give you the steps that you can take to reconnect to your intuition. The first step is to practice daily silence. Years ago, when I first began my coming out of anxiety, I learned about breath work, and that changed my life because I was able to slow down, and when everything else seemed distracting and to be pulling on my energy, I could focus on the one thing that I could count on in this life, and that is my breath. One thing that led me towards believing in God is that Yahweh is his name, YHWH, and it sounds like a breath. So breath work is actually, in my lived experience, honoring, slowing down, and listening to that intuition and hearing God's words. For other people, this looks like meditation and stillness and stretching. For a long time, what I did was Qigong, which is another way to just release a bunch of energy that I felt was heavy on me. It's your energetic body being cleared. But now, and as of September 2nd, what I am absolutely doing is reading the Bible every single morning for about an hour, about 3 to 4 chapters, because I want to read it in a year. It used to be a book that I thought nobody finishes, but now I get to. I was watching this YouTuber who I really, really love, Alexis, and she said that during COVID and around the years after, she read it twice. And that's my daily practice, and I encourage you to begin one yourself, that you will do every single day in order to reconnect you back to your intuition. The second thing is to start noticing gut feelings or first impressions. Little gut feelings, as we call them, is your body telling you go this way or stray away from this. Depending what circumstance you're in, it'll tell you what you need to know. So when you can dial in to what your body's telling you, these are the expressions of intuition coming through you, and they're very important to listen to, even if they're quiet. A lot of people will also journal on these feelings. What I tend to do is also voice record on my phone anything that I might be feeling. Intuition now for me, as over the years it has grown, has become a lot stronger than just a small voice, as I've been telling you about, because I have told it that it's okay, and it gets louder as you grow with it. And I was driving the other night, so it was very dark in town, and it was down a small road with lots of trees and cars parked on the side and people walking across, and I had this feeling that said to me that I might have an accident. It didn't impress upon me as anxiety. It was more of a guiding, guarding light. And so I decided that would not be happening immediately. I slowed the car down, I breathed deeply, and I sent a fleeting prayer, and I decided, no, it's gonna be okay. I'm just gonna pay extra attention. So for the next 2 minutes or so, I was very wary of what was happening around me. And of course, a man on a scooter comes towards the car very fast, and he's wearing all black, and there's no light on the scooter. So I couldn't see him in the dark. And had I been going any faster, that could have caused an accident. So this is a brilliant example of how intuition really guards us, guides us, and keeps us from harm because we hear it through those gut feelings that we tend to get. So the third way that you can reconnect with your intuition is by asking yourself questions. It does start small. It does start with, what do I need right now? What do I feel like eating for breakfast or for lunch? What do I want to do with my life? Is an anxiety-inducing question for practically anybody because you're way too zoomed out. It's important to recognize, what do I enjoy doing? How can I monetize this? Not so large a question that it's unanswerable, but just what is within my reach? And if you start small, you'll slowly be able to wonder, should I do a 3-year course about this art that I enjoy? As a word of warning, every time you outsource decision-making to other people, you damage your self-trust. If I considered getting a job and I asked other people, should I do this job? What do you think? Then I would be damaging my own relationship with my intuition because I would be expecting other people to tell me what to do instead of leading myself down the right road. So you want to stop seeking guidance from other people. Every time you do, you disconnect from your feminine energy and reinforce self-doubt. Your body alone holds the truth. You can, of course, seek opinions here and there, but you know, and your body already has, the answers. Stop asking for permission and give it to yourself. Self-trust and confidence are crucial to connecting to your intuition. So here's my personal example of all of this. When I was at university, I was 21 years old. It was the end of 2018, and I began and was president of the Eco Society. Thought it was so important to take care of our oceans and pick up trash. More than anything, ask the government to please take care of all of us, even though, as I know now, they are part of it all. I was terrible at delegating. I didn't want anybody else to have to do work. I put most of the workload on me. I didn't ask for help. I spent a lot of my evenings at as many student panels as possible. I was trying to fill my CV so that I could one day do the thing that everyone said that I should and achieve and have success. And while I thought I knew what it looked like, I had no idea what any of that actually felt like. I was wanting to be the change, but never feeling the difference of what I was doing and pedaling and striving for all the time. I was filling my time. I had a boyfriend, but my calendar was full. We barely saw each other. I thought I needed to prove myself. I thought my worth was on paper. I thought that one day I'd be handed a diploma and everything would be sorted out and I'd have no more problems left. I thought a better grade would solve everything, but the eco-anxiety that I got from the climate crisis and climate change narrative that I believed was absolutely paralyzing. I remember going to my second meeting of Extinction Rebellion in London. I say meeting, but really it was a protest. And the night before, I had my second ever and last, thankfully, panic attack because I wasn't a British person. I am American by birth. And I recall people speaking of how they were being deported. If anyone was caught going to the protests, they were being deported. And I did not want to be deported, and yet I felt this need that I had to show up to protest them taking care of our future. So I was in a place where I felt stuck because I couldn't move towards my future in a healthy way, nor could I take care of my present safety. All of this to say that was like the culmination moment of anxiety. I eventually realized that I did not need other people to validate my own decisions, to validate my own safety, my own needs, and how I wanted to lead my life. In asking others what to do, I realized I was just mirroring my own self-doubt. When I finally trusted my own desires, I began Habitat Humble, which was a place where I had a community of women I already knew, where we spoke about things that mattered, and it has since evolved into Devoted to Extraordinary, which makes me so happy to be able to speak to you about what matters in life and about what is self-evident and about what will never fade, which is virtue. To become a woman of virtue just makes me incredibly excited. So the fourth and last way I have to give you as a way to reconnect to your intuition is to just pay attention to your body. Use a simple practice to be in touch with what your body is saying. So you can deep breathe, or you can place a hand over your heart. When you feel anxiety is coming up more than ever, what I did was deep breathe in the form of a square. So you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds, breathe in. So and it's a beautiful way to slow down and just practice the breathing square. In order to have this mental wealth way of life, we want to stray from mental health speak. We want to avoid culture in the way that that's going and really lead our lives by the way that we know we're meant to and we're born to do. I know that I one day want to be a mom, and I want to have children, and I want to have a family of my own, and that is my way to leave a legacy. It may be different for you. But so long as you are improving and you are becoming what you know is your best version, I love that you're here. So these are the key takeaways to build self-trust. You want to know the difference very clearly between anxiety and intuition, and follow intuition as far as you possibly can, which is a lifetime of work. Recognize and validate the mental health concept, which is survival mode, which is being stuck in fight or flight, and give it the attention and the care that it needs so you can move up towards the mental wealth confidence aspect of your queen best self energy, because you were born worthy and you have nothing to prove. If you also have a story of a time that you followed your intuition, I would love to hear it. If you'd like to comment it below, I read and respond to all the comments. They're my favorite thing. And if you want to do coaching with me, I have my last one-to-one spot of the year. New year, new me, as they say, and I'd be more than happy to be of service in any way that I can. As my grandma says, harden not your heart, love and serve each other.